Good morning. Oh my goodness. It has been a chaotic last couple of weeks since I last posted a video. Anyway, so I've been doing substitute teaching and I've been subbing as like the teachers associates and stuff, and that has been wild. I've absolutely loved subbing as a teacher. I've loved it so much that I'm actually going back to school in January for my teaching degree, but that's besides the point. So in this video, oh my goodness. Okay. Over the weekend, so Friday night and Saturday night. Friday night, I started the book Verity by Colleen Hoover, and holy crap balls, guys. I am not much of a reader. I'm going to be 110% honest. I actually hated reading. My entire childhood, I hated reading. I don't like reading. And as an adult, I have kind of been reading a little bit more. I've kind of found my niche or whatever. But you guys, okay, so this is like total spoilers and everything. I just need to talk about it because I think I would feel better after talking about it. So in the book, it starts off where this girl named Lowen, I think that's how you pronounce it, is on her way to a meeting, and she witnesses somebody get ran over, and his head explodes and it's all over her. And then a nice gentleman, tries to see if she's okay, walks her to a coffee shop bathroom and make sure she gets cleaned up, and gives her his shirt, blah blah blah. Okay, so it turns out the guy at the coffee shop was the person, or one of the people she was having a meeting with. Man, the sun's bright. And his wife was injured in a car accident, and his wife had read one of Lowen's books or something and loved the way she wrote, and wanted Lowen to loved the way she wrote, so they decided to have Lowen write the rest of her series for this book, or whatever, you know what I mean. Okay, so it turns out Lowen gets evicted from her apartment, which kind of worked out, so she goes and stays with Jeremy and Verity, the author, and her husband, and they have a son, Crew. And while she's there, she discovers that Verity had twin daughters, and they both died within 6 months of each other, and Lowen finds Verity's autobiography manuscript, and that is just totally twisted and disgusting, and some of the shit she writes is just oh my god. Okay, so then what happened? Some weird shit starts happening. Crew was talking to Lowen, saying oh, mommy said this or something, and she was trying to figure out if mommy talked to you, and he wouldn't answer it. Okay, so then I think with her first couple days there, Crew's in bed with his mom, and Verity is basically a vegetable. I don't know how else to say it. She's basically a vegetable, and she needs round the clock care. She can't do anything for herself. She doesn't communicate. She doesn't do anything. She's able to eat, which is weird, but whatever. And so Crew's in bed with her, and I don't know, there's a knife, and he ends up cutting I think it's underneath right here. He cuts himself somewhere. And then Lowen goes back to the room to find the knife, and the knife's gone. Well, okay, so shit starts getting weird. A couple days later, it's Lowen's birthday eve, and her and Jeremy, I don't know. I had kind of had a feeling that he was getting the hots for her, but I wasn't for sure, or maybe she was getting the hots. I don't know. They both were getting into each other. Well, anyways, a couple nights later, she's taking a break because the manuscript is just fucking twisted, and it's really messing with her mentally. That sun is so bright. It's messing with her mentally. So, and she's been trying to finish the last couple outlines for the next 3 books that she has to write for Verity series to finish out the series. And okay, so she's like, I'm taking a break. I haven't watched TV in 2 weeks. So she goes to the living room and watches TV because Jeremy's like, you can do whatever you want. Like, mi casa, you casa, you know? So she goes and watches TV, and then Jeremy comes downstairs and, like, I don't know, they start, like, kind of being, like, I'm assuming they're being flirty, but who knows? And, Jeremy asks Lowen how old she is, and she's like, oh, I'll be 32 tomorrow. And he's like, whatever. And she's like, I'll prove it. And so then he goes and makes her a birthday cake. And then he goes and brings out a slice with a candle and is singing happy birthday to her. And I'm like, right there, I knew it. I'm like, he wants to bone. Like, he wants to get down and dirty with the author that they hired, whatever. So it starts getting hot and heavy on the sofa, and then Lowen, like, opens her eyes or something, because where the sofa's at, she can see the top of the stairs, and Verity's bedroom's upstairs, and then she sees Verity standing there, and I'm like, dude, like, I got so into this book that I started reading it to Chris, and he's like, yeah, that the book was a bit much for him. But okay, so she's standing there, and I'm like, okay, like, either this bitch is losing her mind, or I don't even know at this point. Like, so she starts freaking the fuck out, pushes Jeremy off of her. Jeremy, like, runs upstairs. Verity's in bed asleep. Like, Crew's in bed. Nobody's in the house. And yeah, well, long story short, it turned out that I don't even know how to say it. So then Lowen's still reading the manuscript, and, like, it's getting super dark, super twisted. Their first twin, Chasten, died from she accidentally ate something with peanuts in it. She had a really bad peanut allergy, and they were her and her twin sister Harper were over at a friend's house, and yeah, they got into some snacks after bed, and it turned out to have nuts in it, and Chasten passed away in her sleep. And in this manuscript, Verity, like, she totally does not, like, want Harper. Like, she didn't want them to begin with, but, like, she had, like, a premonition or whatever, and now she's, like, super pissed off at Harper. And, like, yeah, well, anyways, in the manuscript, which the last chapter she wrote a couple days after Harper died, and she died in a canoeing accident, but Verity was the rower, and it's so much, I don't even know. Like, in the manuscript, Verity said she did it. Like, she purposely tipped the canoe over because she told Crew to hold his breath, and then boop, there goes the canoe. And then she gets Crew to shore and can't find Harper because Harper's stuck in a fishing net that was lost last summer. And oh my god, you guys. Okay, so then, like, I don't even know, I'm probably bouncing around, but I just need to get this out. Jeremy and Lowen are, like, doing the dirty, and then Jeremy installed a lock on the outside of the bedroom Lowen was in because Lowen sleepwalked, and she was terrified that she was going to end up, well, she had already ended up in Verity's bed, but she was terrified that she was going to, like, hurt herself or end up in Verity's bed again. So he put a lock on the outside of the bedroom door she was staying in to lock her in so she wouldn't get out. And then he also put a lock on Verity's door because Lowen was, like, fucking terrified that Verity was up walking around, and he's like, no, that's impossible. And then after they get done porking or whatever, like, he gets up to leave and the door's locked. The door's locked. The door's locked. So he thinks Crew did it. I don't think Crew did it. I think Verity's evil ass did it. Well, yeah. It turned out Verity did lock them in the room. And it turned out she was full of shit. And I think Verity left a note in the floor because she was planning on taking Crew. And the only reason Lowen found the note in the floor is because they sold the house. Verity died. He killed Verity. Whatever. They sold the house, and I need to hurry up and talk. I'm almost home. And then Crew ran upstairs to get the pictures he drew for Mommy out of the floor, and Lowen ran up, and he didn't put the floorboard back, and so she was able to find this note. And in this note, she's like, that manuscript was an exaggeration because my publisher or whoever, agent, somebody told me it's a good practice and to do it so I could write deeper and darker for my books, blah blah blah. So, like, none of it was true. I can't believe you would think that. And Like, you tried killing me by framing a car accident, which I don't know how I feel about that one. I feel like the letter was to save her ass because the manuscript was fucking demented. And yeah, so Jeremy and Lowen live happily ever after, and Crew's like a little demented kid, but whatever. And then I read the bonus chapter on TikTok, and like, I absolutely did not like the bonus chapter. It went off like a year later. They sold the house and moved or whatever, and they ran into one of Verity's friends on the beach in a different state, and then like Jeremy freaked out and killed her, and then they went back and had like the most raunchiest sex that they've ever had, and then Crew puts his baby sister outside because he kept saying like she was gonna die anyways, and he puts her outside because she wouldn't stop crying. And I just did not like the extra chapter. I feel like it was totally not needed. I liked how the book ended with Lowen finding that letter to Jeremy and then destroying the letter, because it's like, what are you trying to prove? Like, there's nothing to prove. Your twisted ass manuscript is what landed you in this hot mess, because Jeremy had already found the manuscript to begin with and already knew about it. So like, I'm super confused as to why nothing was done. Maybe she did like run her car into the tree because he found the manuscript and was super pissed, and she was super scared. Like, she didn't want to go to jail, and I don't know. Yeah, so I read Verity and I liked it. That would be a killer ass movie. If you read it, like, I want to know if you made it this far listening to me just like rant about it. It was a really good book. Like, don't get me wrong, I have never read, I usually read thrillers, like psychological thrillers. This one is like a romantic thriller. This one is like, probably out of like the 4 or 5 books I've read this year, this is probably my favorite book that I've read this year. I also read Confess by her, but we'll get into that another time. But yeah, so if you read Verity, I want to know your thoughts. You can either like comment here or go over to my Instagram. I'll tag it below and just let's talk about it, because I'm in some groups, but like, I don't feel they talk about it enough. It's just either like, I love it, or are you team this or that? Like, nobody wants to talk about it. I want to talk about it. Okay, have a good day. Bye guys.